And if you'd like to join me to say the Pledge of Allegiance, I invite you to stand and we'll start that up. I pledge allegiance Thank you. And at this time, we would like to recognize all of our generous Hot Topics sponsors. Our bronze sponsor is the Honorable Cynthia McKinnon. Our silver sponsors are Lynn and David Barrelsman. The voting voices of Michelle Levy, Laurie and Richard Walk. I knew that I wouldn't do that right. Charlie Williams and Caroline Emmons Schramm, as well as the Kindred Three, Joan Irwin, Sue Foreman, and Lee Rambo Kemp. And friends of the League, including the Honorable Fred Lawton and Shelley Lawton, the Honorable Bob LeBlanc and Joni LeBlanc, and Dr. Gloria Picard. And finally, our visionary sponsors, Jennifer and Phil Anderson. Would you all please stand so that we can express our appreciation for you? For the first time in history, each of the top 4 positions in the Orange County justice system are held by women. We'll be hearing from them shortly. I did not do elected officials. Didn't we just do that? No, I'm just kidding. I apologize. If you are an elected official or you are a candidate for a specific government or judge position, feel free to come over to where Rev. Kathy is to introduce yourselves. Again, no political speeches. We're just asking you to please identify yourself and the role that you serve in public service, please.
And at the end, there will be an opportunity to applaud for all of them. Please hold your applause.
Because some guests, you may not know that the League of Women Voters across the country is a nonpartisan organization. That means we neither endorse nor oppose any candidate or political party. And the ways we can do that tangibly at the very grassroots level is we thoughtfully and politely hold on to our enthusiasm and applause until all of these good folks have identified themselves, and then we just let loose. How's that?
Welcome to beautiful Winter Park. Sheila DeCiccio, Mayor. Thank you.
Steve Carestes, I am running for Circuit Court Judge.
Good morning, I'm Dr. Kelly Martinez-Sumrad, and I proudly serve all of you as Orange County Vice Mayor and District 5 Commissioner. Thank you. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Ingram, and I am Commissioner-elect for Seat 1 for Winter Park City Commission.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tiffany Moore Russell, a candidate for Orange County Mayor.
Good morning. My name is Janae Buford Johnson. I am running for State Representative District 41.
Hello, my name is Barbie Harden-Hall, and I am running for U.S. Congress, Florida, Congressional District 11. And with redistricting, you can sign a candidate petition. I have them with me. Thank you.
Hello, have a beautiful day. Nicole Wilson, Orange County Commissioner for District 1. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Malta Lirizari. I'm a candidate for Orange County Commission District 3. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Ziegler. I'm running for Orange County Commission District 3.
I'm Jim Turney. I'm honored to be serving my 5th term as City Commissioner for Altamont Springs. Not up for re-election this year, by the way, so not a candidate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ayana Barrow, and I'm your candidate for Orange County Judge, Group 3. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Suzanne Pena, and I'm running for Orange County School Board, District 3. VoteForPena.com.
Good morning. My name is Tamika Hampton Johnson. I'm running for Circuit Court Judge, Group 1.
Good morning. My name is Chelsea Simmons, and I'm running for Orange County Judge, Group 19.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Judge Michaela Nix Walker. I currently serve in the Ninth Circuit, and I'm excited to be here today.
Good afternoon, good morning, League. My name is Judy Garabo Hayes, and I'm running for Orange County Judge in Group 21.
Good morning. My name is Myra Uribe. I'm Orange County Commissioner, District 3, also a candidate for Mayor of Orange County. And I just want to take a moment with my colleagues. We've made an incredible vote yesterday in a resolution to protect Orange County.
Good morning, everybody. My name is LaWanna Gelser, and I'm a candidate for Orange County Commissioner, District 6.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Monique Worrell, your twice duly elected state attorney.
Once again, I'm Keith Givens, Maitland City Councilman-elect.
And this is why Kathy is so good at what she does. She keeps me in line and in my lane. Thank you for that reminder. We have given accolades to the women who will be on the panel, and there'll be plenty more opportunity to do that too when we actually introduce them. But if you would, just for now, look around your table. There are so many women in this room who have been firsts. If you are the very first woman or the very first Black woman in your role, I would ask that you please stand right now and stay standing. And if you're old enough, I feel like Phil Donahue. We are going to hear from, now I said please stay standing. So each of those women are going to stay standing. They're going to identify themselves and the role in public service where they serve and or in the business world.
Thank you. I am the first woman mayor of Winter Park.
Hello, I'm the first woman chief judge of the Ninth Judicial Circuit.
Hello, I'm the first woman to serve a Apopka police chief.
Hello, I'm the first African-American woman to serve clerk in the state of Florida, and the first African-American to serve as clerk here in Orange County.
Good morning. I am the first woman to serve as public defender for the Ninth Judicial Circuit.
Good morning. I am the first woman to win a contested race in the Ninth Circuit, me and my colleague, Christy Collins. Thank you.
You. I'm so sorry.
Good morning. I'm the first woman editor, and actually the first editor of the Winter Park Voice.
Pardon? I didn't know if I said African-American woman.
Good morning. I'm the first woman, this is off the public circuit, but the first one to serve as a statewide association president in the state of New York for disabilities industry, and the first Black woman to serve as an executive in a Jewish agency in New York in the same industry.
I promise I'll put it back, Charlie. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll never be Phil. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Good day, everyone. I am the first Black woman to be hired by Metro Plan Orlando and the first to fill the role of Director of Regional Partnerships at that same organization.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience. Anyone else? Isn't that fun? I'm so impressed and I'm so grateful that we get to see you all and we get to be with everyone and all together this morning, afternoon. So we can see representation matters. History matters. And in this room, we can tell that women matter. I am really, really honored to present our moderator for today. Ms. Patricia Broussard is a 20-year faculty member at Florida A&M University's Law School. She is an undergrad, so go Rattlers. She is an undergraduate of Northwestern University, go Wildcats. And prior to that, she was on the faculty of Howard University, go Bison. She is also a 6-time FAMU Professor of the Year. Today, we're just going to let applause go because, wow, right? Just in speaking with her, I asked her what her favorite aspect of the law was, and she teaches constitutional law, and she told me from the Constitution, yes. My alternative school apparently did not teach me that. In order to form a more perfect union, she talked about aspiration and empathy and the desire in general to be better, and that just gives me hope. I'm so glad you're teaching all of these next new attorneys because we need them and our world needs them. She is teaching not just constitutional law, but the First Amendment, advanced appellate advocacy, and advanced topics in women in the law. Please welcome Patricia Broussard.
Thank you, Jane. To say that it's an honor and a pleasure to be here is an understatement. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. The theme of Women's History Month 2026 is Leading the Change. Women shaping a sustainable future, honoring women designing blueprints for transformation across environmental, economic, educational, and social systems to build a more equitable world. This theme celebrates women's leadership in creating long-term sustainability from green technologies to economic justice and ensuring a future rooted in opportunity for all. One of my favorite sayings that I say when I teach women in the law is, women hold up half the sky. And that is a saying by the Chinese leader Mao Zedong. Women hold up half the sky. And I dare say the women that we're going to introduce today hold up more than half the sky. And that's what makes it so wonderful to be here and to be the moderator for them. I'm going to introduce each panelist, and as I do, would you please come up and pick the best seat, whoever goes first, wherever you want to sit. So first we have Chief Judge Lisa Munyon. She was appointed by Governor Jeb Bush in 2003, and she is the first woman to serve as Chief Judge on the Ninth Judicial Circuit and was reelected unopposed for a 3rd term last year. She has served in the Criminal Division, the Domestic Relations Division, the Civil Division, the Business Courts, and the Probate Division during her tenure. Chief Judge Munyon has been honored with numerous awards related to her judicial services, and is a former law clerk to a judge after I graduated from law school. Kudos. Thank you. Next we have Tiffany Moore Russell. She made history in 2014 as the first African-American female clerk elected in Florida, and the first African-American clerk in Orange County. She previously made history in 2006 by becoming the youngest county commissioner ever elected to serve on the Orange County Commission. Clerk Russell created the Lydia Gardner Self-Help Center to serve the economically challenged. She has several honors and awards. Welcome. Melissa Vickers was elected public defender in 2024 in Florida's Ninth Judicial Circuit and is the first woman to hold that position. She's board certified in criminal defense law since 2006. She has more than 27 years of legal experience and has represented adults and juveniles in every phase of criminal cases. Melissa is former first vice president of the League of Women Voters of Orange County, as well as a government committee chairperson. Welcome. And last but not least, Monique Worrell is the state attorney of the Ninth Judicial Circuit of Florida. She was elected in November 2020 and re-elected in 2024. She is the second African-American woman to be elected to this position. She began her career as a public defender in Orange County. Later, while a clinical law professor at the University of Florida College of Law, she founded and directed the Criminal Justice Center, creating opportunities for students to gain hands-on experience and specialized education in criminal law. Ms. Worrell also developed In Your Future, Your Choice program to educate youth on their rights and responsibilities. Let's welcome her. So my dear panelists, there's a young lady here with a paddle, a time paddle of 2 minutes. All right? So there's so many things we want to hear from you, and we want to get it all in, all right? So the first question to you, and this is to all of the panelists, tell us a little bit about how you got where you are today. You know, some people talk about self-made men, self-made women. I personally don't believe in that. I think there's always somebody that gave you a push, that gave you a leg up, that helped you get where you are. That's just my philosophy. You don't have to adopt it if you don't want to. But tell us, who inspired you? What choices did you make? And as a young person, where did you see yourself? And anyone can start.
I guess I'll go ahead and start. Hi, I'm Lisa Munyon. I am sort of an accidental lawyer. I graduated from high school at 16 as valedictorian in my class. Everybody assumed I would go into the hard medical sciences. Well, when you start the University of Florida, when you're barely 17 years old, and they don't offer chemistry when you want to take it, you go, I'll go to law school. And that's pretty much how it started. But once I became a lawyer, I moved to Orlando. I became an assistant state attorney. I had great mentors at the state attorney's office. Belvin Perry was my first boss at the state attorney's office. And he became a mentor and an inspiration. I was before him when he became a judge, and I practiced before him. I practiced before other great lawyers like Judge McKinnon and Judge Lawton, and decided, you know, I could probably do that. And that's when I decided to become a judge, and I've been a judge for over 23 years.
Wonderful.
So I think I'll answer the question in the reverse. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, but I really thought today I would be this lawyer managing major trials where I would be someone that would be studied winning huge cases. Well, that didn't happen. So I am a lawyer. However, what really made me want to serve the public was working for legal services, representing low-income families, protecting their rights and saving their housing. And from there, that is where I kind of was birthed the desire to be a part of policy, and that's when I first started running for office. And so, but my first race was running for Orange County Commissioner, and I must give recognition to the late Mabel Butler, who was an inspiration for me as I grew up in District 6 and seeing her as the first woman to serve in that role. And so that is how I got here today.
So I was going to be a dancer on Broadway when I graduated high school. That did not work out, surprisingly. My singing voice is not quite up to par. But I was a dance major in high school, went to a school for performing arts, so that was always my dream. And my dad was an attorney and told all of us, don't be a lawyer. And so my brother and I are now lawyers. So I started working at a public defender office in Jacksonville, where I'm from, when I was 18 years old. My summer and Christmas break jobs were interviewing people in jail for the attorneys, and I did that all throughout my college career, and then fell in love with the work, fell in love with helping people, the importance of standing up beside somebody and advocating for them. And so my entire career, except for 5 years, has been in public defense. When I was out in private practice, I was doing criminal defense and injunction work, and then really motivated. My first management position was at the Public Defender's Office here, and Eileen Forrester, who's here today, was definitely a mentor and very encouraging in my journey as far as getting to this point. But ever since I started management, I thought this is the job that I want. And now that I'm here, this is the job that I would love to have for the rest of my time.
So I've always known that I was going to be a lawyer. However, I never aspired to be a politician. And not surprisingly, it's the least favorite part of what I do every day. I never thought that I would be a state attorney because my focus was always on the inequities in the judicial system, in the criminal process. And from a very young age, I was able to witness those disparities in my neighborhood and my family and see how the criminal justice system was not a fair and equitable system, and one that we often call the criminal legal system because sometimes it really just seems devoid of justice. I spent most of my career as a defense attorney. I started my career as a public defender and then went on to be a professor at the University of Florida, where I began teaching students who would go on to practice law what the fair and equitable practice of law looks like. So my inspiration for where I am today was wanting to be part of the solution instead of just sitting around talking about the problem. And that's what made me run for state attorney. The greatest human inspiration in my life, I'm happy to say, is here with me today, and that's my mother, who has always displayed exemplary strength and determination, and I'm so thankful to her for that.
Thank you. For the next question, I'd like to hone in on the judge and on the state attorney to answer this. And if you'd like to chime in, you can also. But I think our audience might not fully understand how the court system works. And can you talk about how you work with each other in that system? And I dare say the audience is probably a microcosm of the country. Most people don't know how the system works. So could you just explain in a couple words how it works?
So I think this is something that will be interesting for people to understand, is that how we all work together. I think that the two people up here who most work frequently together are Melissa and myself as the state attorney and public defender. I'm happy to say that I think probably for the first time in history, we have not only two people who are working in an adversarial system, but showing to the people who work for us what it means to work in an adversarial system without being adversarial with each other. And I think that's so important. However, our work also overlaps with the clerk and with the judiciary, because it's the clerk of court who keeps all of the records and who has staff in the courtroom every day as our lawyers are going about their business, mine of prosecuting, hers of defending, and then of course with the judiciary. So while we can sit up here and say that this is the first time the circuit has been run by a cast of women, it's I think, working in the most efficiently as it has in the past with this cast of women, because we meet regularly and we talk about how we can make the system run well, and we don't have egos, we just have plain, honest conversations about how we can do it.
And I don't know if everyone fully understands how much we have to work together. The legislature provides the funding for each of our offices, but they don't provide the funding for each of our offices equally all the time. So they may, the legislature may give us additional judges. That doesn't mean that the clerk got additional bodies or the state attorney or public defender got additional bodies. So when that occurs, not only do we get together and lobby together to fund the entire courtroom, but we also have to sit down and have conversations. Like, I've got additional judges, I have work that needs to be done. Can you staff those divisions if I make them criminal divisions? Or do I need to do something else with those judges until you have more staff that can staff them? Because it doesn't help anyone if we're having court proceedings, but they're understaffed and can't get through the work.
Okay. Thank you. And this question is for everyone. What are you most proud of accomplishing so far? And if you had a magical wand, if you had all of the power necessary to change things, what would you change or what would you leave the same?
I will start on that one. There are two initiatives that I am proud of. The first one was opening the Lydia Gardner Self-Help Center. You heard me state earlier that I was a lawyer for legal services, and so I saw that there are many citizens that fall within that category that receives legal services support, but there's a lot in the middle. That's our teachers, our law enforcement, who will never be able to afford an attorney. And so the Self-Help Center was open to address those questions that they may have on how to navigate the court system. And I think it also created efficiencies for our office, because for those who know, trial clerks or clerks cannot give out legal advice. And so it allowed me to protect my employees from having to answer those questions or say, I can't answer those questions. The second thing that I'm most proud about is when I started the clerk's office, my clerks made $12 an hour, and today we're at $17 an hour. And I am proud to say that it took being very strategic and understanding the legislative process, our funding process, and how to move the needle for my employees to be able to start moving towards a better wage. I'm not saying we're there, because we're not, but $17 is much better than when I started at $12. So that's what I'm most proud about.
So I've been really busy in the last 14 months since I've taken office, and I am so proud of so many things. Our community involvement has ramped up. It's important for the community to see us out there working with them. We got a grant to work with gun violence prevention with Peace Orlando, so we're giving an attorney and a social worker over to that. We had Legislative Day at our office for the first time ever. We produce these Know Your Rights cards, and then how to get through a police interaction safely. We also have them English, Spanish, and Creole that we pass out at different events that we're at. They're written for a 6th grade reading level, so everybody should be able to clearly understand what the rights are. We are finally fully staffed with our support staff, which is exciting. I don't think we've ever been fully staffed with support staff in my tenure. And then we've done book drives for our children's defense. We've done some remodeling in the office thanks to Orange County and funding that with our facilities. But the two most important things to me have been the culture of the office, that I think it's still taking time to change that, but we've made a really, really good start in changing the culture of the office. And then the second thing is client communication. So when I came back to the office as the elected, there weren't really standards as far as meeting with clients. And so we have set forth very strict expectations as meeting with clients. And I'm really proud to report that makes our complaints go down. Clients tend to trust us more. They're so happy. Oh, I didn't expect to see you this soon. So it's really made a difference in the attorney-client relationship as far as going to court and the trust and respect that go back and forth between our attorneys and the clients.
When I ran in 2020, I ran on a platform that basically said this: we can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. And what I am most proud of is having the courage to lead in a system that wasn't ready to change. What we have to understand as a community is that public safety isn't just about punishment. It's also about prevention, accountability, and building stronger, safer communities. So I am most proud that no matter at the cost, that I was able to change the discussion around what public safety means to what public safety actually is. In that, we have been very successful over the last year at differentiating between those people who are drug addicts in need of services and those people who are drug traffickers who are capitalizing off the pain and suffering of the individuals and their families who are addicted to drugs. And I am pleased to say that over the last year, we have convicted 162 different individuals for trafficking drugs in our community and sentenced them to multiple decades in prison so that we can keep our communities safe. In addition to that, the culture in the office, having changed administrations 5 times within the very recent future, the office was in disarray. And over this last year, through an audit and then a restructuring, we are focusing on rebuilding the culture of this office, getting people the assistance that they need to be the most productive lawyers that they can need so that we can adequately serve our communities.
Well, I'm very proud to have started statewide discussions about the lack of resources that come to a very growing part of the state, that being the Ninth Circuit, Orange and Osceola counties. We are some of the fastest growing counties in the entire nation. And having the conversation with legislators and others around the state that we are larger by population than Broward County. We are the second largest circuit in Florida by population. We are the third largest with regard to judges. Broward has 90. We have 75 when we're fully staffed. So making people understand that we need resources to serve our citizens has been one of the very high priorities that I've had while I've been in this position. And I've also started a regular data-driven look at how we use our resources. In the past, if a division seemed to have too many cases and not enough judges, then that division got more judges and you might close down a division in another area. But it was largely based on anecdote. And I have yearly a data-driven analysis done regarding where we need our judicial resources and make those decisions based on the data rather than perhaps who's complaining the loudest.
Thank you. The next question is really near and dear to my heart, and it is, what do you see as your greatest challenges? And the reason I say that is because as a law professor, more lawyers have been created by TikTok and Instagram in the last 5 years than any law school could produce. So when my students say to me, Southwest Airline can't tell me what to wear, and I say, yes, they can. They said, but on Instagram. So, having said that, what are your greatest challenges at this date and time and place?
Okay, I'll bite. I think you're probably aware of many of my challenges because they're very public. I was talking with Jennifer Anderson earlier, and she said, "You're on the front page of the Orlando Sentinel like every other day," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's not a good thing. Like, I don't want to be on the front page of the paper. It's not because someone's admiring the great work that's being done in my office." But you know, there are real challenges in the way politics is influencing the law. And it is very public, and we're at a place right now where we're enforcing the laws we like and ignoring the ones we don't. And the irony and, you know, how people get removed from office for allegedly not following the law, but then people come in place and say, you know what, I don't like these laws, we're just not gonna follow them, and then it's okay. That is a huge challenge, because we can't continue to train our lawyers when they don't know guns and who can have them and who can't. The law is ever changing on that. And when I say it's changing, I don't mean the legislature's changing the law. I mean the entity that is in charge of enforcing the law through the attorney. We face is the ever-changing nature of the law.
Tend to fund state attorney offices more than public defenders. I've been working hard year-round, even out of session, visiting people all over the state with the appropriations staff. I have a chart that I made of the top 5 circuits, and we're funded at So a lot of what I've been doing is trying to get us fairly funded so that we can spend the money that we need to defend the rights of our clients. You know, recruitment, I think, is going to be a huge problem coming up. Law schools, for the most part, public interest law. So I foresee a long-term issue with getting lawyers who are truly interested in public interest. As Monique discussed, you know, the laws that the legislators passing are getting a bit more harsh. Enhancements for certain laws are getting more harsh. There was just one passed with battery, and then now a second battery automatically as an enhancement, which is going to be an issue for a lot of cases and a lot of people who weren't expecting that to happen. The repercussions are going to be big, and that will in turn, you know, impact our jails and how crowded those are. It will impact our prison system and our probation system, and all of that, you know, it all flows up or down or sideways, whichever way you look at it. Thank you.
You know, it's very nerve-wracking when the timekeeper's right here. So the biggest challenge for clerks and for my office is funding. So we are the only elected governmental office in the state of Florida that does not receive funding from taxes or any property taxes or sales tax. We are funded from fines and fees in the state of Florida, okay? And so with that, our budget is capped by the Revenue Estimating Conference that meets 3 times a year. And so we go through the budget process. And so the biggest challenge for us is clerks statewide bring in almost $1 billion a year. But we have to send money to over 20 trust funds. Now, we have no problem funding our courts, our public defender who has a trust fund, our state attorney, but 1/3 of our budget goes to the legislature and the governor's general revenue fund. So the clerks actually collect what we need to fund our offices. So one of the previous questions was, if I had my wish, or if I was Oprah and I could do whatever I wanted, it would redesign the clerk's budget and funding process. So Orange County is, although we're not the largest county, Judge Munyon, we're the largest contributor to the clerk's trust fund. And so why is funding a challenge? Funding is a challenge for us because we're not allowed to keep all that we collect. So it prevents us or somewhat handicaps us for innovating, for increasing our pay for our employees. We know that everyone uses this today, and you can do stuff on Apple and Google Pay. Well, we're trying to make our front counters use Apple Pay to pay your fines and fees. Well, in order for us to innovate and ideate for new technology to make more efficient services, it costs money. A deputy clerk is paid $17 an hour. Oh, I got the stop sign. Okay. But, okay, that's one thing. A deputy clerk costs $17 an hour, but because we have more demands for technology, you all know who are business owners, technology employees cost more money. And so that is our biggest challenge and how it affects or impacts how we serve.
And I can harp on funding. I'll just tell you that the state court system, believe it or not, is the third branch of government, is 0.7% of the state budget. 0.7%. If we were 1%, we wouldn't be having this conversation because we would be adequately funded. So take that home with you, 0.7% of the budget. I think one of the challenges we're going to face in the future, and we're facing it now, is from artificial intelligence. We get the occasional lawyer and the pro se litigant that are creating pleadings, using AI, and filing them. We have seen a huge increase in the number of pro se litigants that are filing what they think are legitimate lawsuits that clog up the system until they actually end up getting dismissed. And they're filing them both in the state courts and in the federal courts. And I think probably everyone here has been, including me, has been a defendant in one of those AI lawsuits in both state and federal court on a number of occasions. And it takes time away from doing our normal job.
And to bolster that, when you get a brief from a student that you've assigned a case to and they cite baby Jesus versus the Virgin Mary as a case, you know they used AI. So you all touched on the what I hear as a thread that's running through everything you've said is underfunding, underfunding. I want to know from you, what can the public do? What can we say to the governor and to the legislature? What can we do to change your world?
I can tell you one thing that I'm very concerned about is the property tax reform that is being discussed in Tallahassee. In Orange and Osceola counties, we are so fortunate to have county commissions that fund us when the legislature doesn't. And they will not have that ability to serve their citizens if they don't have the resources that they currently get from property taxes, and if it's not supplanted by something else. So I am very concerned about what the future holds for Orange County and for all of our offices with that proposal.
I would just ask each and every one of you to talk to your legislators, right? Before session, when they're home, because that's when the work really starts. Because once they get to session, everyone is lobbying them, from teachers to the environmental groups, everyone. And so spending that time when they're home, talking to them, we are in an election season, so people are running for the House and the Senate. Ask the tough questions. How will you prioritize funding for the three branches of government? Do you believe in funding our court system completely? Ask those tough questions and then follow them when they're in session. I will say we do have a good delegation here because they're voting today on a clerk bill where we're actually having a CPI indexing, which helps all branches of government. Because if we index our fees, everybody up here benefits, even though it was a clerk priority bill. So that's what I would ask is find out who's running for office, ask them the tough questions, and make sure you hold them accountable for how they serve once they get to Tallahassee, and make sure they prioritize the entire court system.
So along with what Judge Munyon and Clerk Russell said, voting, what the league does best is getting people out to vote makes a huge difference. Educating voters on what the issues are and how they impact our local community is a huge issue. So those are direct things. You know, every time you call or you email a legislator, their aide makes like a little mark on what saying. We just need to be saying it, and we need to be writing it, and we need to be calling and making the effort to speak up about what's important to us.
Justice isn't just an idea. It requires investment in order to keep up with the communities that we serve. Unfortunately, this year, the state attorney's office has received a budget cut in our victim advocate funding. It's called VOCA. You may have heard about it on the news, you may have read it in the paper, but essentially in what I believe is an act of retaliation against my office, the Attorney General's office recalculated the number of victims that we should serve in categories that we just don't have the victims in. Now, it's important to understand that our office doesn't make arrests. We file cases after law enforcement brings them to our office. And when we look at the numbers that we submit to the state for our victim advocate funding, it's actually based on real numbers of the real victims that our office serves. Well, the Attorney General's office decided that they would arbitrarily recalculate those numbers and make us serve victims that the community just doesn't produce. And in an effort to do that, what they actually did was remove $500,000 of funding for our victims from our office. So I have a very real ask of the League of Women Voters is that you all contact the Attorney General's office VOCA funding department and ask them to restore the VOCA funds that this office has had for over 40 years. Over 40 years. This isn't something new or something that's changed, but these funds have been based on numbers that these people serve for over 40 years, because without those funds, we will have to let people go, and the victims in our communities will not have the services of the victim advocates that they need to take them to court and walk them through the process that they need to get justice. So this is something that is very real and very real time. And yes, I agree with everything that's been stated here. Our circuit is historically underfunded, but now it seems more than ever, there seems to be some sort of, I don't know, political reason that Orange County isn't getting the same financial increases that other circuits throughout the state are seeing.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to give you 60 seconds to give your gut reaction to this question. What does the statement, "justice isn't stable right now," mean to you? Is it accurate? Do you agree? 60 seconds. Go.
You want me to talk in 60
I want
seconds?
everybody.
Justice isn't stable because many of the people who are in power are unstable.
It's nice to follow that. Thank you. So I agreed. But it's difficult when everything is changing so quick. Change is fine, but when it's changing from day to day of, you know, if I've got a client charged now with possession of a firearm, is that a crime? Is that not a crime? Can I get it dismissed? Can I not? Does plain smell marijuana allow for a search in our circuit or not anymore? It's just things change, and when you don't have clear direction on those changes, it makes it very unstable for our system and to operate in, and it creates a lot of, I think, chaos, especially with decisions and rulings that come out, because one judge might think one thing, the other judge might think the other thing, and there's no, depending on which judge you get assigned to, that it is what it is. And so when there's not that clear answer on what the law is, it makes it incredibly unstable for us to practice.
When I hear that statement, it makes me think that why people say that is because the justice system is not a priority. We all know that where people spend their money tells you what they believe in. And so it says to me that we always need to come to the court system when we have a problem, but we don't prioritize the court system. And making sure that it's effectively running, it's efficient, and it knows that it's a true branch of government. So that, to me, speaks to the instability of our justice system.
Yeah, I think stability in the law is in the eye of the beholder. We have always had changes in statutory law from the legislature. And those statutory changes have changed how judges rule on things. I will tell you, however, that stability in the law is necessary for our citizens and for the business community. If a business doesn't believe that their contract means the same today as it did when they entered into it, they may not invest money in our community. So stability in the law is vital, but we have always had some forms of instability.
Excellent. So just to switch the discussion just a little bit, what's happening right now with the juvenile detention system and mental health care?
May I? Okay. So with the Juvenile Detention Center, what is happening when kids get sentenced to what's called a program, it's kid prison. But they name it a program because it makes it sound better. So it used to be kids are in detention in our local detention center, they wait for a little while and then they get shipped off to their program. What's happening now is we're seeing a longer wait. Different programs are being closed down across the state because of abuse, neglect, rioting, fighting. One child died in a facility, so they get shut down. So kids are waiting in detention for a much longer time before they can go to their program. And that time doesn't count. If you're an adult in jail and you have to go to prison, every day you served in jail, you get what's called credit time served for that counts off your sentence. Our kids don't get that. And so I'm working right now on a pilot program with Department of Juvenile Justice to start letting them do some of the requirements of the program at the detention center so that when they do finally get to the detention center, to the program, that it makes their time less there. So our juvenile justice system is a hot mess. Sorry. To put it mildly, is what's going on, and the poor kids are just sitting there, and nothing's being done, and it's just dead time, and it's ridiculous. The second issue with mental health, if I can just go on for 1 minute, is when someone is found to be incompetent to proceed due to a mental illness, and they are deemed to be a danger to themselves or others, they are involuntarily committed to a state hospital. The law says that they're supposed to be moved out of the jail within 15 days to that state hospital. There is a statewide crisis going on right now where people are waiting in jail 4 months, 5 months. For women, it's longer to go to the state hospital, which means it's putting a greater strain on our jail because they have to house the person for $180 a day. They have to give them whatever medication they can. If the person's acting out and they need close management, they have to do one-on-one supervision from an officer to the client. It's created a great strain on our resources. Right now we have 46 clients in the Orange County Jail who are waiting on the list, and the average wait day is 127 days. And if you calculate it out, it's over $1 million just for those 46 clients that Orange County is funding for that. What's also happening is clients are self-harming, they're injuring themselves, their mental health is deteriorating while in the jail because guess what? Our jail is not a mental health facility. It is not equipped nor staffed to handle mentally ill clients. This is a statewide crisis. Last time I checked, there were over 700 people statewide waiting on bed space. We're part of the Florida Public Defender Association, and all of the electeds get together and we talk about it all the time about different motions we're trying, different ideas we're trying to try to get this stuff moving. We've met with Department of Children and Families, who are the people who are responsible for the state hospitals, and there just doesn't seem to be enough movement. It's due to bed shortage and staffing shortage because apparently nobody wants to work in a state hospital, and back to juveniles, nobody wants to work in a juvenile child prison.
One of the most profound crisis that we're facing right now is what's happening with our children in the Department of Juvenile Justice. Our system, and it goes back again to the funding, because this is another system that is completely underfunded. And these are the most vulnerable individuals in our society, but we are not investing in the rehabilitation of our children. And the system is built around the word rehabilitation, but I have to agree with the public defender, the system is not working the way they tell us that it's designed to work. So as state attorney, when I am working on trying to keep our community safe and trying to get kids rehabilitated and sending them to these programs, I now have to face the knowledge that kids are sitting for months before they ever get to a commitment program. And as they're sitting for months, they are deteriorating, they are getting worse, they're being exposed to worse things. But my only other alternative is to send them to adult prison, which doesn't have rehabilitation as, at least it's not stated as an intention. At least in the juvenile justice system, it's stated, but it's not actually happening there. So what I'm doing is I'm getting ready to start a task force that will launch next month, and I want community involvement so that we can face what we're dealing with in our community now, which is more and more violent offenses being committed by children. And the Department of Juvenile Justice is not equipped to handle them, nor is the Department of Corrections. So I have very few options as state attorney on what I can do to address those behaviors with those children. So we're gonna be launching a task force. We're gonna ask for community involvement. We're gonna be meeting with our community partners so that we can put our heads together and decide what we've been waiting and hoping that the legislature would do something about, is what can we do with our Department of Juvenile Justice to let it serve our communities in the way that it's supposed to. And the same thing is true for the mental health system. The Department of Corrections and our jails is the largest mental health provider in our state. And then we get complaints when people come out, they get off their meds, and they commit more crimes because the system didn't work the way it's supposed to be working. And we have to, of course, find someone to blame, and these days I'm the person who takes the blame for it, instead of actually pulling the curtain back and seeing that if you don't deal with mental illness, they are going to come back. If we don't deal with violent crime committed by children, they are going to come back. And when they come back, they're probably going to be worse than when we sent them away because we did not put a plan in place that would stop the recidivism.
In addition to a mental health crisis on the criminal side, we also have a mental health crisis on the civil side. I'm sure you're aware that there is a system where you can Baker Act individuals that could harm themselves or others. And when they're Baker Acted, they could be civilly committed to the state civil commitment hospital. There are too few beds. And so when they do need to be committed, they sit in temporary facilities far longer than those facilities were intended to hold them. So it is a universal issue.
So the last question I want to ask you before we go into a Q&A is, do you have a call to action? The League of Women Voters has over 800 members. What's your call to action for this group?
Vote, educate, and sign up other people to vote. Also, my office, if you have gently used paperback books, ages K through 12 appropriate, we will take them to our juvenile detention center has been lacking in books for children to read, which is so important. And so I'm proud to say we've already collected over 1,000 books. We keep them at our Children's Defense office, and then when they deplete over at the detention center, we just take them over and refill the bookshelves. So that's very helpful. And then, you know, the League used to have a juvenile justice committee, which I used to be a part of, and they used to provide really great services like yoga and sometimes pizza night at the juvenile detention center, which usually the majors of the detention center are kind enough to let programming happen. for the kids. And so I would love to see that committee be reinstated, and let's try to do something for these kids that are just sitting there. Let's try to get them some help. Let's try to get them some reading materials. Let's try to get them some services to help teach them mental health issues and how to calm themselves and yoga and things like that.
So I'll piggyback off of Melissa, vote and educate the community on what's happening from a legislative perspective. But I also have a shameless plug. If you are a retired judge, I see one to my left, an attorney in the room, we are always looking for attorneys to come volunteer in the Self-Help Center. Right, this is the place where we are providing advice to our self-represented litigants who are trying to navigate the justice system. And so I must always ask if you are someone who has the time to volunteer. We would love to have any lawyers to come volunteer to make sure we can serve the public in that capacity, which allows them to navigate our justice system more informed.
Justice doesn't only happen in courtrooms. It happens when normal citizens stay engaged in their democracy. So as we are entering election season, for all of the people who sat it out, and I know it's not the people in this room, but you have to go get the people who sat it out and make sure that they never, ever do that again.
My call to action would be to ask the members to, when they talk to their legislators, talk to them about funding the entire court system. Don't just focus on, the shiny new object, which might be judges this year, and certainly was judges last year, but they need to adequately fund the other offices so that we can actually do our work and put those judges to the best use.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add that a democracy doesn't maintain itself. And to tell everybody in the room, you've got to maintain this democracy. It's our job. We've been skating along for too long as a society, lollygagging through life. We have got to be the force behind the democracy. And having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Gina to have a Q&A session, and I'm going to put down the mic for a while. Gina?
Thanks, Professor. I appreciate that. So if you are a member of the league and would like to ask a question, work your way up here. Remember, one question. If you have two, the panel will stay after a little bit so you can ask your second question. But please be respectful of everybody that's in line here, and let's only ask one question. Of course, I'm going to hold the mic because it's my toy I get to play with. So if you would like to ask a question, just come on up. Hi there.
I just want to ask the public defender if you're still doing your clothing drive.
We do. We collect clothes for our adult clients and children. We do, sorry. We collect clothes for adults and children to wear to trial. So if you have any gently used dress clothes, I'm sure everybody's lost a lot of weight recently and has some clothes in the closet they want to get rid of. So we are willing to take it.
And my wife always had my shirts monogrammed, and I've donated to the closet for many years, and I always got a kick out of seeing an inmate wearing my Brooks Brothers shirt in court.
So, question, Melissa, for the books and clothes that people want to donate, where do they deliver them to?
If you go to pd9.org, which is our website, you can, my name and number's on there. If you call, we can have somebody meet you in the front circle of the courthouse, so you don't have to really even get out of your car. You just have to arrange a date and time between Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we'll get it from you.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of all of you today. What I'd like to hear from, and for the group, is I would like to hear from the importance in how we can help maintain the rule of law in the independent judiciary.
Boy, that's a loaded question, Diane. Thank you. in 30 seconds or less. I think you need to maintain an independent judiciary, you need to let your voice be heard. Let it be heard not just by our elected officials, but by our citizens. And when you see attacks on the independence of the judiciary, I think it's really important that you speak up and that you let your voice be heard. Because let's face it, others will raise their voice and will certainly get in front of the camera. But we need citizens who believe in our Constitution to do the same.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here today. I have a question. So like being a student who's in college and undergrad, what would you say would be the best way to inspire other students to be more interested in their civic duty and being more educated about it?
So I think you have to get them where they are. So what affects them? How does property taxes affect students? How do the law changes affect students? If a student gets a speeding ticket, how does it affect them going to court or not? Or if their license is suspended and they have to go to court, how do those things affect the student? So I think the best thing you can do is try to make what's going on as relatable as possible to where people are and how it could impact them as individuals.
I would say great question, and I think the change starts with you. I think you want to get students engaged. Someone has to hold the first, maybe you hold town hall meetings in the union, right? I've been out to UCF and students are always there eating, have little meet and greets and talk about the election and what's coming up. And it starts with you and the students. I think it's oftentimes we want to come to the campus, but maybe the students should lead those conversations and get them more engaged with what's happening. And so I would say the change starts with you, where you start to encourage and motivate your fellow students to be involved in the process.
Very good. Professor Broussard, I'll turn it back to you to conclude the program.
Okay, well, we're done. Let's give our panel a round of applause. It has been my distinct pleasure to have this conversation with you. I am humbled. Thank you.
All right, please have a seat. We have our calls to action, our important announcements. So thank you to our moderator, Patricia Broussard, and our panelists who have taken the time to be with us today. They clearly have very busy schedules. They've given us plenty to consider, some meaningful actions to take, and from my perspective, a lot of inspiration as we go forward. 25 years ago, no woman had ever been elected to any of these positions here. So it's really a fabulous thing to see. So we have some calls to action. What you can do. The vote for Florida Senate Bill 1334 was scheduled to take place this morning. I've been monitoring it. It looks like they have replaced this bill, which is the Florida version of the SAVE Act, with the House version. So the Senate has replaced it with a House version. I don't know its disposition. For those not familiar, this will greatly increase the difficulty and the documentation needed for people to vote. It will be particularly burdensome to women. So please pay attention. The SAVE Act at the national level. Our voting rights are under attack, and this is the time to come to their defense. So look for those alerts and get involved. Next. This Sunday afternoon, March 15th, there will be free fun and games at Barnett Park on West Colonial. League members are invited. Tony's backyard. I'm so glad they decided against Frisbees. Well, the event will be catered by a delicious meal from Uncle Tony's Backyard Barbecue and a sing-along led You could bring a drum or instrument. There will be a fun scavenger hunt, a patriotic photo booth, and games for the whole family. But very important, we need you to register today so that we make sure that we vegan or vegetarian lunch selections. You go to the league website and look for March 15th election season kickoff cookout. You can also grab the people who are throwing the balls. We'll meet on March 18th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. They'll be discussing The Hate You Give by Angie Thompson. You can register with Virginia Meany. You know, our motto, mission has made the decision to co-sponsor the No Kings rallies on March 28th. Here in Orlando, we are working with the organizers. All in Orlando, and we will watch the newsletter for more information on how to be part of a league presence there. We know that there are also some in some of the other communities, and we just would like those who feel moved to be non-partisan if you're not wearing your league merch. We also have a Spring League Showcase coming up on March 31st. That's at 6 p.m. at the Winter Park Community Center. That's an opportunity to find out more about getting involved in the league. And our annual meeting will be Saturday, April 11th, 9 to noon. And we have a new location, All Saints Episcopal Church in Winter Park. Please make sure you register for that. Notice is going out with the documents that you will need that support that. There is no Hot Topics overtime today. And I hope that you will join us for yet another hot topic next month, April 8th, why immigrant rights matter to all of us. Yes. You can stop by and talk with the folks from our immigration committee today if you are interested. They are at a table in the hallway. Please complete the event survey that you see on the screen, I hope. We want you to know that we're listening to you. As you can see, we have made some changes today with displaying the speakers on the large screen. We will continue to evolve that technology, see what worked and what didn't. We value very much your feedback, so please take a moment to fill that out. And with that, I thank you all for your presence, and again, thank you to our moderator and panelists. We are adjourned.